Okay, guys. Last video I showed you some uh, a couple of coats as a just to give you an idea of a lower cost option than going out and buying a $500 or a $1,000 wool coat. And there are other options as well, right? There are other options as well. So, what are our other options? You could get military surplus, for one. You can find good wool garments, military surplus. Everybody knows that, right? So, and as a matter of fact, talking about military surplus, I was looking at the collars, right, on the Stormy Kromer Double Mackinaw, and of course everybody looks at Filson, right? Why do I keep bringing these up? Because these are kind of like the high dollar ones on the market, right? And they're considered to be very, very good products by a lot of people. Some who probably actually use them for what they were intended, and a lot of people who probably just wear them around town, right? But I noticed that the collars on those garments are a bit anemic. And by that, what do I mean by that? I mean they're a bit small. They need to be bigger so you can pop them up in the back, and they need to be able to be secured around the neck area so that you get a full funnel around your neck, okay? And there's full coverage here from the wind. That's what they need. I'm not seeing that on those coats. So what I'm going to do is I've got my PeaCoat over there, okay? I wrote down the information here in case anybody's interested in a real U.S. Navy PeaCoat. I wrote down the information here about it so that you know what you're looking for if you're going into a store. The issue PeaCoats were made by Sterling of Boston. It's the only company I'm aware of, Sterling of Boston. Okay, and it's a 100% Melton Wool. It's 32-ounce Melton Wool. It's very heavy, and 100% is 100% wool. Okay. You'll see a lot of knockoffs that are 80% wool, and they won't be made by Sterling of Boston. They'll be made by some other company, and they'll say Navy PeaCoat. But this is the one. This is the one to be looking for. All right, so I'm just gonna put this. I'm gonna put this mid layer on, and then I'm gonna get the PeaCoat and put that on. So we'll put the PeaCoat on and button it up for you. Alright? And then I'm going to come back and talk about these gloves here a little bit too. These ones with the with that terrible insulation I was talking about the other day. Yeah. Alright. So just go ahead and slip on this wool mid layer. Alright. Get it buttoned up here real quick. I just grab this PeaCoat. So there are a lot of PeaCoats out there. A lot of imitation PeaCoats, right? So you gotta be careful about what you're getting. So this thing weighs. I was gonna weigh it. I forgot to weigh it. But I'll get the weight after this video. I'll get the weight and I'll put it up here on the whiteboard. All right, put it up here on the whiteboard. All right, so notice I didn't have any real issue getting this on. It's because there's a lining back there. Okay, seems like a silk. Probably not silk in this day and age. Back in the day they used to use silk. But anyways, slides right on. I could feel it all the way here to the cuff. Right? Okay. So, gonna go ahead. Oh, if you're looking for the info, Sterling of Boston, it's going to be in the inside pocket. Alright, it's going to be in here. It'll have a place for name and service number there. Alright. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and do this up. Alright. This is a 50 regular. Could use a 52 regular, would be nice. But it doesn't matter because I only wear this for like funerals and things. Or anytime I gotta play dress up. Right? So, what I was talking about here, with the neck, alright, as you can see, I've got it buttoned up at my neck, and it goes all the way up, totally crossed over, and you know, there's a lot of wool on this side. As a matter of fact, here's where the wool ends, okay, on this side of the neck from this going across. Okay, so it's that far crossed over, right? The only thing, if you get one of these to use for an outdoor coat, you buy one that doesn't have any holes in it or anything from a surplus store, and you're going to want it for, you know, beating around out in the outdoors. The arms on these are a bit restrictive underneath in the armpit because they didn't put a diamond shaped piece of material in there so that you could reach up over your head. Because originally the old PeaCoats were, you know, guys were like running up, you know, dealing with sales and all that stuff, and they had to have their arms over their head and all that stuff. They were actively doing things in the real old days, right? So they were more loosely, they were cut to where they were more, you know, could be worn more loosely, and you could get that, you know, over the head motion, you know. And these are more or less just built like a regular coat nowadays, just to keep you warm and to look smart, you know. So it doesn't have all the gusseting in the armpits and stuff for the overhead reaching and all that jazz. Anyway, so that is the navy PeaCoat. Now this is this has the black plastic buttons with the anchors, so that means enlisted, right? And then if you get one that has the metal buttons, that means officer, okay? Not that you care, probably. You probably want to go with the plastic ones because easy to find replacements if you lose one and so on. It's an art form to add a button, So you need to, once you get your PeaCoat, if you go and buy a PeaCoat, study the way that the buttons are on there, so that if you do lose a button, then you know how to go ahead and replace it, right? Back on. I look at like I got a full head of hair, but really, you know, if you look at me from the top, you can see through like a screen door. Right. So I got about 4 minutes left. So remember the other day I was talking about these gloves I got. They were a present. Primaloft lined LL Bean gloves. They look really nice, right? They look really nice, but they do not insulate well. Your hands will get cold. If you're out in any kind of real weather, your hands are going to get cold. So, I don't wear them hardly at all. I would wear them a lot more if they kept my hands warm, but they don't. So I decided to go ahead and what's the point of having them if I'm not going to wear them, right? So this is what I'm thinking. So I thought, well, let me look around and see if I can find some wool, loose wool, right? So I did. And I got some wool in the mail, $20-something, alright, coming from Scotland. Now I turned, this was a real pain in the butt, but I got this turned inside out, alright? So this is actually the right hand, but it's turned inside out, so I got it here on my left hand. It's very difficult to get these fingers pushed out the other side because the material's the way it's built. But anyway, if you look at the inside of the glove, alright, we'll get a little light here. If you look at the inside of the glove, you'll see that on the outside of the hand here, there's a seam there. This seam is not like these other seams. It's actually sewn with the edges on the outside, and this is where they stuffed the glove. Okay, so what I got to do is I got to take a seam ripper and I have to undo that portion of the glove and pull all that stinking Primaloft crap out of there, and then I'm going to restuff the glove with wool. Okay, wool fiber. That's right. I'm going to restuff everything the best I can with wool fiber. And it'll be a pain. I guarantee you it will be a pain. But once it's done and I've sewed that back shut, then I'll be able to actually use these gloves like they were intended. Because the way they are right now, they're just really useless. Okay. So, when I was talking about wool the other day, I couldn't remember, I could not remember the one type of wool other than Shetland, so I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about that. But we'll talk to you about that in the next video, and I'll see if I can't add something else in there to go along with it. So I guess I'll see you there.